My brother and I were diving over the summer at a local quarry. He had about 15 to 20 dives under his belt. I had about 70. He was diving in a back mount configuration while I was in a side mount configuration. I was a relatively new side mount diver with maybe about 10 side mounts under my belt. This was about 30 minutes into our dive. We were at about 20 to 25 feet. A couple minutes before the out of air situation, I did do a check on him. He had about 1,000 psi left on his aluminum 80. While we were diving, I just so happened to look back on him. He was probably about 15 feet away, maybe a little bit further. I noticed he was doing a mask clearing drill, so I stopped to watch to make sure everything was all right, and then out of nowhere, he signals out of air. So I turn and pull it to him, deploy my long hose, and essentially just shove it in his mouth. He grabbed onto it. I grabbed onto him, and he apparently tried to take a couple breaths, but he felt as if he couldn't get any air, so he bolted to the surface. We ended up going up again. We were about 20, maybe 25 feet down. We get to the surface. He spits out my regulator, and we start to try and diagnose what was going on. What we ended up finding out was the regulator hose had threaded off the scuba valve, or the tank valve, which was really unusual. Now, admittedly, we did not know if he had turned it on all the way or if he just cracked the tank valve to see what the pressure was when we started the dive. So it very well could have been he had maybe a quarter of a turn, and that was enough to turn it off. So what ended up happening afterwards, we ended up turning the tank all the way on, checking pressures. He still had about 1,000 psi left, and we ended up completing the dive, going back to the dock. He did make sure to tell me not to tell her mom, because she would have freaked out and probably tried to stop him from diving. But ended up being a good learning experience. So that's where we're at.
How'd you drop? Like,
I don't know.
just a couple minutes ago, you were at 1,000.